Nobody is going to walk into the house of a white woman and shoot her dead.
They didn't do that.
What?
They didn't do what?
They knocked before they went in. The boyfriend or maybe even her shot at the cop.
No,
they didn't just walk in.
No, they busted the door down.
No, but they didn't just walk. It was a knock, and then they went in.
They did not identify themselves as police officers.
I don't think, I'm so confused on where he's getting this information from.
Our religious heritage is rooted in the regrettable experience of slavery.
You used to be enslaved?
Yes, we used to be slaves.
You were a slave at one time?
No, I was not. I was born in the 1950s. So slavery was long gone.
Right.
But I still experience the legacy of slavery.
How?
And the legacy of discrimination.
In what way?
When I experience barriers that exist simply because of the color of my skin, those barriers are still real and they still exist.
So how did you get to APU and do all that, be the dean and do all that if barriers was in your way?
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? It's a miracle. That's a miracle.
Is it possible because they were not there? At least not from the white folks.
That who was not there?
Barriers were not there.
So this whole discussion is with the dean of a university versus Jesse Lee Peterson on the concept of white privilege, white supremacy, and slavery's impact on the African American or Black American, which I like to say, experience. A big thing that I don't really know if I like about this discussion, and you guys might disagree with me because it's going to be a little off the tracks, is that I think a lot of Black people use the discussion of slavery, use our ancestors' punishment and our ancestors' harsh treatment as sort of a superiority complex within ourselves. Because hear what he just said, the dean of this university. It's almost as if he's saying that I had to work harder, I'm better than you, because I'm very successful and my ancestors went through this. It's not the fact that it's the way he said it. And I've noticed this a lot. It's like sort of a superiority complex. It's like saying that I'm better than you because my ancestors went through this and yours didn't. I don't know if I'm right there, but that's just what I'm getting from this. But I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get into it.
All in your mind is not real.
Oh no, the barriers were there. The barriers are there even now. Even though I am associate dean and professor of New Testament, there's still some real barriers that you deal with.
When will Black people know that they are not there anymore? What do white people have to do to say, okay, Blacks, we gave y'all everything. Do you want the land? You want the land, then you'll be done?
You know, we'll know that these barriers are no longer there when we finally become fully human.
And how are you going to do that? By taking
eyes?
But the eyes of what?
In the eyes of white people.
So if white people just say to the Black, y'all human, would you be satisfied?
No, it takes more than that. It takes more than that.
What else you want?
For one thing, it takes getting the knees off of our necks.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is the end of things like racialized police brutality. When those kind of things disappear. When a young woman can be sitting in her house and not worry about police officers busting the door down.
Who that?
And shooting her to death.
Who are you referring to?
Breonna Taylor.
Oh, that Taylor girl. Did you know she was dealing with drug dealers?
It doesn't matter what people say she was dealing with. It doesn't matter what she was dealing with.
It doesn't matter that she rented a car where a murder or something took place.
Nobody is going to walk into the house of a white woman and shoot her dead.
They didn't do that.
What?
They didn't do what?
They knocked before they went in. The boyfriend or maybe even her shot at the cops.
No,
they didn't just walk in.
No, they busted the door down.
No, but they didn't just walk. It was a knock and then they went in.
They did not identify themselves as police officers.
I don't think, I'm so confused on where he's getting this information from. I don't know if I should say this, but some of the biggest threats, some of the most disadvantaged people in the United States when it comes to serial killers in the U.S. are women. And yes, that includes white women. This was just proven. Somebody went to jail. It was a big court case. I think it was the what was it? The Utah? I think it was the Utah killer or something along those lines. He killed a group of white college students. But nonetheless, women are some of the most disadvantaged people when it comes to serial killers in the United States. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because white women is including in that. But he's trying to paint this narrative that if you're black, then police officers are just going to bust in your house in the middle of the night. That's not true. I don't know where we're getting this information from, but that's not true, and it's a harmful narrative being pushed.
Officers, the young man thought that some other group was breaking in. He shot in self-defense.
The drug dealer?
They returned fire, and they killed an innocent woman.
When you say the young man, are you referring to the drug dealer that you were with?
No, I'm referring to her boyfriend. I don't know anything about his background. All I know is that there's no justification for this string of killings of black men and black women for no reason except
even if they're drug dealers, pushing drugs, criminals, and all that. Well, they don't bring that up on themselves.
Okay.
As a preacher, hold on. Do they bring that upon themselves by the way they live?
Well, white people seem to escape that.
That's not what I'm asking.
You know, and there are white drug dealers, there are white gang members, but yet you don't hear of killing after killing after killing of unarmed black men and black women.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, it just.
That is the problem. That is what all the protests are about. The protests are not about police engagement with criminals.
As a preacher, I got to ask you this.
Okay.
As a preacher, called by God, sitting in the room, reading the word when God called you. As a preacher, does it matter their lifestyle? Can they possibly bring this upon themselves by the way they live?
Lifestyle does not bring murder upon someone.
If you're a drug dealer or you're involved in drug dealing and you're doing criminal things, can you bring that upon yourself?
A lifestyle can lead to consequences.
So is it possible to tell a woman and whomever, Floyd or whatever his name was, brought that upon themselves based on their lifestyle? Is that possible?
No, not under these circumstances. Under these circumstances, it was racism that brought that consequence upon her.
Do you believe that white people discriminate against blacks?
Yes.
Do you discriminate?
No.
You never discriminate?
No.
You don't discriminate?
I don't discriminate against anyone on the basis of race.
Do you discriminate?
You literally just discriminated just now by generalizing the entirety of white people in the United States. You do realize America is 70% white. So these tens or hundreds of millions of people, you just generalized all of them by saying that they all discriminate against black people, which are 13% of the United States. But nonetheless, I don't really know the benefit of this discussion. I'm gonna be completely honest, and it kind of worries me that he's a dean of a college saying something like this, because what benefit will come from spewing this nonsense?
I've been discriminated against on the basis of race.
So you do discriminate?
Everybody discriminates.
How about you?
For example, I prefer to eat chicken rather than pork. That's discrimination.
Do you discriminate?
Not on the basis of race.
Do you discriminate against other people?
Not on the basis of racial characteristics. That's what we're talking about.
So why did you marry a black woman instead of a white woman?
Because I fell in love with her.
But why do you fall in love with a white woman? You discriminated.
No, I fell in love. I fell in love with my wife.
You dated a white woman before, right?
No, I never dated a white woman.
Why
not? That situation just never arose.
Because you discriminated.
I fell in love with somebody else.
Is being a white Christian different from being a black Christian?
Yes.
In what way?
Heritage.
What?
Heritage and experience.
And what do you mean by that?
Black people, even black Christians, have experienced a racial heritage and history in this country that white people have not experienced. In fact, white people have been responsible for black people experiencing this history and heritage. What does that have to do with being born of God? It has nothing to do with being born of God, because black people who are Christians are born of God also. But yet, despite the fact that they were Christian and born of God, they have been treated as subhumans.
I agree with
Where
you
is he
that
getting this narrative
the Arab
from?
did treat them that way because it's the blacks that sold
Arab. No,
it was the blacks that sold the Arab.
I'm talking about racial history in the Americas.
It was the blacks that sold the Arab. I mean, it was the blacks that sold other blacks to the Arabs over in Africa, Mummy Africa, then they went and the Arabs sold the blacks around the world. I do agree with that. So they were treated cruelly for that reason.
You're blaming the victim. The legacy.
How are the Arabs the victim?
The legacy.
Who are the victim? The Arabs that bought them, or the blacks that sold them?
Chattel slavery and the Middle Passage are the responsibility of European and European Americans.
What the? There were black people who owned slaves here in this country.
Okay, I think Jesse Lee Peterson is intentionally being dense, and I don't really appreciate that. I don't think there's anything wrong, or I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that Europeans sold people into slavery. That's what happened. That's the truth. That's literally what happened. They were a part of the transatlantic slave trade, and the fact that he's not trying to admit that really throws me off. And I understand they're having a debate about white privilege in the United States, but there's a difference between saying that or generalizing the entirety of white people in 2025 versus just flat out ignoring the fact that Europeans were a huge member of the transatlantic slave trade. Yes, black people of some sort were a member of the transatlantic slave trade. Of course, that's just common sense, but so were Europeans. Why are we trying to rewrite history? I hate that. You're not going to rewrite history on my channel, bro. I'm not going to let it happen. Yes, two things can be true at once. The professor is being dense, and Jesse Lee Peterson is also being a little weird by not admitting that Europeans were a part of the transatlantic slave trade. I don't understand this generation, but I'm not going for it.
No, there were
were.
No black people that don't say now.
So you're really saying that a white Christian is different than a black Christian?
Yes, I mean Christianity does not occur in a cultural vacuum. All Christian expressions are cultural expressions of Christianity. There's no such thing as an absolute value neutral, culturally neutral Christianity. That is a myth. If you find a culturally neutral Christianity, that's just white Christianity pretending to be culturally neutral.
All Christianity is some type. Huh? Where you get all Christianity is what?
All Christianity is some type of cultural expression.
Well, if you're going to say a white Christian is different from a black Christian, you should also say that a man Christian is different from a woman Christian. An older Christian is different from a younger Christian. Because what he's trying to say, at least what I think, is that the way that they express Christianity is different. But that kind of is like everything. That goes from men and women. That goes from the old to the young. That goes from teenage. That goes from anything. I don't really know. That goes from what state you live in, what country you live in, what language you speak, what music you like. So I don't really understand what he's trying to say here. Is he trying to say that just being black is going to automatically make your experience with Christianity or with God naturally different than if you were born white? Possibly. I think that can be the case of any characteristic. Just the way you experience life will be different for everyone, I guess. I don't really know what he's trying to do here. Nonetheless, I'm going to end this video here. Let me know what you all think. My name is LFR Jojo, and I'll see you all in the next video.